Sup nerds, I'm Wes.
I'm Tom.
And I'm Aaron.
Today we're taking a look at
Combo Fighter by Colossal Games.
Before we go any further and talk about Combo Fighter, it's important to note that this game is currently on Kickstarter, so of course everything you're looking at is in prototype form.
So Combo Fighter is a fast-paced card game where it's like kind of arcade style where there's like buttons that you're pressing. That's kind of what the little symbols are. So you're like doing all these combos kind of like Tekken or any other like Street Fighter or something where, whatever, you're just beating up on each other and it's just like button mashing at its finest. But in card game form. But
the mechanics are actually it's a simultaneous selection where we both pick one at the same time and reveal, and it has kind of that rock, paper, scissors type of, yellow beats blue, blue beats red, red beats yellow. But saying that, and when I first heard about it, I was like, oh, that probably isn't going to be that good. Like a rock, paper, scissors variant. I personally have played some other games that are, rock, paper, scissors-esque, but kind of with a twist and built off that, and they weren't that good.
Yeah.
But this is not that, because it has that as, like, the core idea, but there's so much more to it. It builds off of it so much more, so that there's really a lot more thinking of just, like, what am I going to pick, rock or paper? I'm like, oh, wait, no. He has a lot more red in his deck than I do, so he's more likely to pick that, but he just picked yellow, so he's going to think that I'm going to think that type of thing.
And also because the whole, the meat of the game is the comboing after the rock, paper, scissors-esque battle. So part of what you're picking is like, oh, I really want to play a yellow, but my yellow has nothing else that combos with it. It's in my hand. So maybe I'll go blue because I could play this, but if I go red, I could do this thing. And so that adds another layer of what you're going to do, because it's not just what do I think he's going to do, and so I'm going to hope I get lucky and think faster than he does or better than he does, because there's all that weight of how can I get the best combo. And if you do take damage, and you're discarding, I want to keep these in my hand because I want to use this. A lot of the cards have a super attack at the bottom where this is a good combo, this is a good combo, but if you can, this one down here with 4 of them, it's mega damage. And so you almost wait a few turns and hold on to these cards even though they could be beneficial now, hoping to get that mega attack later.
You're alluding to the signature combos. Every player is asymmetrical. They have completely different decks that are weighted differently in the different colors, and the combos they need are slightly different, varied, by the amount of, the different types of, either box, circle, triangle, and the color combination. Also, they have a player ability that if they take damage, they could double their next damage, or once they this chick uses her awesome
love her. With the bow staff?
Yeah, so if she uses her bow staff, it breaks, and then she kind of loses that ability that gives her extra damage on her red cards. But I know you used it once, with a combo, and it just, it was totally worth it for you, because you, dwindled all my health.
Yeah, plus, it's a really heavy-hitting card. It does 8 damage if you play it, if you win with the first card. So, it's rough because you lose that ability, but if you play it at the right time, it makes it worth it.
Now, when we're talking about taking damage, your health is just your deck that's left, or the hand that you have. So in order to combo and do more damage, you need to play more cards. Some cards you'll play in a combo that don't do any damage, they just allow you to play another card. I'm going to play this red, and then I'm going to play this yellow, only because that yellow has a red square in it, so now I can play this red square too. But the problem with that is, in a sense, you're taking damage to deal more damage, right? So it's almost like the difference. It's I just did 7 damage to you, right, but I had to play 5 cards. So I really did 2 damage to you, all things considered. So in that, there's a lot of balance in the game, because even if you feel like you're crushing or that you're getting crushed, ultimately, they're still dwindling themselves down to try and beat you at a slower rate, but it's not just that your deck is getting milled and their deck is just sitting there fine.
Is that what you tell yourself when we're crushing you in this game? You're like, it's okay, they're taking damage too.
I'm doing fine. Just did to Aaron?
The one
Afterwards,
game.
he's like, oh, that was just a lot of luck. Man, no, I didn't even try to pick cards. I wasn't even looking at what I was doing, really.
Tom's like, I won. That's it. I'm done. Not playing it again. So we can go home.
Reigning champ.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Until there's more fighters.
We have 4 here. There's 6 in total, I think. So far, I think that that they've shown us, at least. There's probably more that are going to be coming out.
100 fighters enter the ring. Only one can live.
It really is a game that can get to the point of like Summoner Wars. And that there's just deck after deck after deck and giant boxes.
Is
and
that
it's
a
like pick your
problem
fighter.
for you? I don't
No,
know.
I'm saying as a benefit. I love Summoner Wars, and I think that honestly, like 1v1, like just card games, I think are great, especially when you can go beyond like Magic, which is a great game. I love Magic, but having just so many different options that like, what are you in the mood for? We have two of us? All right, we can do this fighting game or this fighting game or this fighting game. And having like uniqueness and differences to them means that we can just play 2-player aggressive, conflicting games and like always have something new to try out.
Now, speaking of 2-player head-to-head card games, Colossal did just recently end their Kickstarter for Omen, which you may have seen our Kickstarter preview for that one too. Now, this game is very different from Omen. Probably if you saw our video, you already know based on the way we're talking about this game. But Omen had a lot more of those really, really dicey, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't moments. Because there wasn't that much hidden information because you know what's in the deck. You don't know what's in your opponent's hand really, but like you can at least math out your hand on your turn and try and figure out like, well, if I play this here, as long as he doesn't put that over on this side, then maybe I can, there isn't a lot of that. The strategy in this game is much more trying to like read your opponent's mind. Because it is that rock, paper, scissors simultaneous selection based off of what you've seen them discard, based off of what you know is in their deck, what they played recently, what their combos are. You have to outthink your opponent like mentally versus outwit your opponent on a battlefield, if that makes sense.
But because of that, I think this game is really accessible.
Yeah.
Like the strategies, like not the strategies, but like the way you play is really easy to teach. I think the hardest thing to wrap your head around is like comboing your cards after the damage is done and being like, okay, and not just like how it works, but strategizing around that. Not just being like, oh, I can play this card, but looking at it and say, okay, I can play this card, but if I play this card, I can also play this card. Or like you said, like it's not just how many cards can I play down in combo, it's what's the fewest amount of cards I can play, but the maximum amount of damage I can do with them.
I'm definitely going to agree with Wes. This is a very accessible game. It's definitely the lightest game that Colossal has put out yet. But I think it's really good. I think it's very smart. It kind of fits this like superhero niche that we're in right now, where everybody's like wants to make a superhero card game or board game or something. And this is like they're not all superheroes, but they kind of some are dressed like superheroes, and it just feels like that arcade style retro gaming, button mashing like.
It reminds me a lot of the movie Kick-Ass.
Yeah, that's a good.
So they're like
good comparison.
But
superheroes.
they're not. They're
Yeah.
more like vigilantes almost.
Yeah.
They're street fighters. Come on.
Fighting in the streets.
Of Rome.
What?
I do think that word is perfect. This game is really accessible. It's a game that gets better the more you play it, because the more you are able to like card count. Because again, not only does it tell you, the distribution of your deck, it tells you exactly which cards are in there. So if I use this, that's the only one of that card in my deck. Or I saw him use that, and that's the only one of that card in his deck. So that's really important. And the art does feel really kind of comic booky and kind of, because it's not cartoony, it is more like the 90s Spider-Man animated series, so this hits right at home for me.
So if you can't tell, we definitely recommend you guys check out this Kickstarter. I'm really excited to see the full production copy. Colossal's prototypes are always top notch, so it's that much more exciting to be like, actually, we haven't seen a single production copy of their games yet.
Right,
but
nor has anybody, actually. I still think Western Legends isn't out yet, for real.
But
It's shipping soon.
It's shipping soon.
if their prototypes speak anything, it's gonna have solid quality. The artwork is fantastic. The gameplay is really fun. It's not the most complicated game in the world, but you don't always want that. And I think that this game really has a place on almost every shelf.
If any of that sounds interesting to you, we're going to have a link to the Kickstarter campaign in the description box down below if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you are watching this on Kickstarter, well then, you know what to do.
Regardless, make sure you go over to our YouTube channel and subscribe so you'll never be bored. That's my secret attack.
Okay, yeah.
Hair flick.
You're like Tina.